A 2-year-old's remains were found in a laundry bag in a Florida swamp, an utterly unimaginable truth. The Casey Anthony trial captivated millions across the nation for several years following the initial missing persons report. Kaylee Marie Anthony, a beloved 2-year-old, was reported missing on July 16, 2008. 31 days after her mother, Casey Anthony, claimed she last saw her on June 16, 2008. Initial weeks involved extensive searches, with hundreds of volunteers and numerous law enforcement personnel combing many vast areas in Central Florida. The grim discovery on December 11, 2008, transformed the missing persons case into a murder investigation. Skeletal remains were found in a wooded area near the Anthony family home in Orange County, about 1,000 feet from where she lived. This dense cypress swamp was a challenging environment for investigators to process. Crime scene technicians scoured the muck and thick vegetation. Duct tape was found over the skull's mouth area. Cadaver dogs had previously alerted to the scent of human decomposition in Casey Anthony's car trunk, a significant early clue. Air samples collected from the trunk revealed compounds consistent with a decomposing human body, including elevated chloroform. Dr. Arpad Vass, a forensic anthropologist, testified on scientific findings concerning decomposition odors. Hair strands believed to be Kaylee's were recovered from the trunk's carpet lining, a crucial piece of physical evidence. Forensic entomology played a vital role, with experts analyzing insect activity on the remains to estimate a potential post-mortem interval. The prosecution's theory centered on Casey Anthony suffocating her daughter with duct tape, then discarding the body. The defense team, however, proposed an alternative narrative, suggesting an accidental drowning in the family swimming pool, followed by a panicked cover-up by grandfather George Anthony. The highly publicized trial began May 24, 2011, at Orange County Courthouse. Over 6 weeks, 12 jurors from Pinellas County heard 91 witnesses. Prosecutors presented a detailed circumstantial case, weaving numerous pieces of evidence into a narrative of guilt. The defense focused on creating reasonable doubt, questioning validity of some scientific findings, and pointing to the absence of a definitive cause of death. They highlighted the lack of eyewitnesses and the ambiguous nature of forensic data. After 11 hours of deliberation, the jury delivered its verdict, July 5, 2011. Casey Anthony was found not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter. She was, however, convicted on 4 misdemeanor counts of providing false information to law enforcement officers. The verdict sparked immediate and widespread public outrage and debate, with many expressing disbelief and anger. The legal proceedings and their outcome forever cemented the case into American legal history. The trial's legacy prompts discussions about forensic science, the justice system, and broad media influence. The Florida swamp, despite its silent nature, ultimately yielded profound and heartbreaking truths. A child's skull, covered in duct tape, revealed an utterly unimaginable horror. The Casey Anthony case, involving 2-year-old Kaylee Marie Anthony, became a national spectacle of intricate forensics and complex legal battles. After Kaylee's remains were found on December 11, 2008, the dense Florida cypress swamp presented immense challenges for dedicated investigators. The discovery site, about 1,000 feet from the Anthony family home in Orange County, was a complex environment. Crime scene technicians processed the muck and thick vegetation for every possible clue. The duct tape found over the mouth area of the tiny skull became a pivotal piece of evidence for the prosecution's theory of suffocation. Forensic examination of the tape sought links to materials with Casey. Earlier, cadaver dogs had registered alerts to human decomposition scent inside the trunk of Casey Anthony's Pontiac Sunfire, 5 months before remains located. Air samples collected from the vehicle's trunk later confirmed the presence of volatile compounds consistent with a decomposing human body, including elevated levels of chloroform. Dr. Arpad Vass, a forensic anthropologist, presented detailed scientific findings regarding these decomposition odors, strengthening the prosecution's circumstantial case. Several hair strands believed to belong to Kaylee were also recovered from the trunk's carpet lining, providing physical evidence. Forensic entomology experts analyzed insect activity on the remains to estimate a post-mortem interval, suggesting the body was in the swamp for a significant period. The prosecution built their case around Casey Anthony suffocating her daughter with duct tape, then discarding the body in the isolated swamp. Conversely, the defense team proposed an alternative narrative, suggesting an accidental drowning in the family swimming pool. They argued grandfather George Anthony then panicked and covered up the tragedy with Casey's assistance. The trial commenced on May 24, 2011 at the Orange County Courthouse. Over 6 weeks, 12 jurors selected from Pinellas County listened to 91 witnesses. Prosecutors presented a detailed circumstantial case, weaving numerous pieces of evidence into a narrative of Casey's guilt. The defense focused on creating reasonable doubt, questioning the validity of some scientific findings, and emphasizing the absence of Kaylee's definitive cause of death. They also highlighted the lack of eyewitnesses to any alleged crime and the ambiguous nature of forensic data presented. After 11 hours of deliberation, the jury delivered its verdict on July 5, 2011. Casey Anthony was found not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter. However, she was convicted on 4 misdemeanor counts of providing false information to law enforcement officers regarding her daughter's disappearance. This verdict sparked widespread public outrage and debate across the nation, with many expressing profound disbelief, anger, and injustice. The legal proceedings and their astonishing outcome forever cemented the Casey Anthony case into the annals of American legal history, prompting discussions about forensic science, the American justice system, and the influence of media coverage on public perception. The silent Florida swamp, despite its initial hidden truths, ultimately yielded heartbreaking details that continue to resonate years later. A mother's freedom, after such a horrifying discovery, absolutely stunned a nation. Casey Anthony's shocking acquittal on serious charges left millions bewildered and enraged at the American justice system. Her conviction on merely 4 misdemeanor counts for lying to law enforcement officers felt like an unacceptable outcome for the tragic disappearance of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony, whose remains were eventually found 1,000 feet from their home. The verdict, delivered on July 5, 2011, after the jury deliberated for 11 hours, was met with profound disbelief, anger, and a sense of deep injustice across the country. This unprecedented public backlash continued for many years and affected countless citizens. The 12 jurors selected from Pinellas County had listened to 91 witnesses during the trial, which lasted 6 weeks from May 24, 2011. Prosecutors had presented a detailed circumstantial case trying to connect Casey Anthony to the duct tape found over Kaylee's tiny skull and the volatile compounds consistent with human decomposition, like chloroform detected in her Pontiac Sunfire trunk 5 months before the remains were located. Dr. Arpad Vass's scientific findings regarding decomposition odors had strengthened their case. Yet, the defense's strategy of casting reasonable doubt and suggesting an accidental drowning covered up by grandfather George Anthony proved effective against the lack of a definitive cause of death and eyewitnesses. The media saturation around the trial was immense, influencing public perception and creating a truly circus-like atmosphere. This case became a significant touchstone for discussions about the reliability of forensic science, specifically cadaver dog alerts and decomposition analysis. Experts debated the interpretations of insect activity on the remains and hair strand evidence. The public clamored for justice, expressing their dismay at how the system could allow a person accused of such a heinous crime to walk free from murder charges. The case permanently altered how people viewed the legal process and its ability to deliver clear answers. Subsequent legislative efforts in various states, sometimes linked to the Kaylee's Law movement, sought to create stricter penalties for parents who failed to report missing children in a timely manner. The financial burden of the trial and associated appeals was substantial, likely reaching millions of dollars for legal fees and investigative costs. Casey Anthony herself faced a lifetime of public condemnation and scrutiny, struggling to maintain anonymity years after the initial horror. The legacy of this case involves not just a legal outcome, but a lasting societal scar, a constant reminder of a child lost and a mother acquitted, fueling endless debates about guilt, innocence, and the complex interplay of evidence, law, and public opinion. It served as a stark lesson on the power of circumstantial evidence versus direct proof in a court of law. The profound impact continues to resonate even more than 1 decade after Kaylee's remains were discovered on that December 11, 2008. This entire sequence of events left an indelible mark on legal precedents and public consciousness for generations.